Our final look at colour image files at the moment. What I want to look at now is, let's go back to Paint and let's create the same sort of image that we had before. So let's zoom this in. So I've got an 8x8 image. I need my pencil. And I am going to do my I-beam as before, sorry. And there we go. And I'm going to save this file. Now this time I am not going to do it in black and white. I am going to do it, we need a bitmap. I'm going to do it as a 24-bit. In other words, 3 bytes for every colour. Now we've had 1 bit, monochrome. We've had 4 bits, which gives us 16 colours. We've had 8 bits, which gives us 256 colours. And now we've got 3 bytes, or 24 bits, which gives us 65 million colours, or whatever it is. It's a lot of colours. So that's the one that we're going to save it as. And let me give it a name. Let's just call it colour. Because I want to have a look at the file and the size. So first of all, I've got the same image as before, just 8 by 8 pixels and just black and white. That's it. However, if I go and take a look at the file, let's go to desktop and find the file. Where do I call it? Color. There we go. The size this time is 246 bytes. Why is that? Well, let's get a calculator. Let's see if I can get a calculator up and running. Calc. So the way we work things out is we need the resolution, which is 8 pixels wide by 8 pixels high, and then we need to multiply that by the number of bytes that we use. So we use 3 bytes, and that gives me a total of 192 bytes. And you can see that it's 246. So we've got some overheads, we've got some extra bytes in there which are telling us about the image. We've got some metadata, and this time it looks to be a bit more than we had before. We had 30 bytes of metadata before. Now we seem to have a few more. So 246 minus 192 is giving me roughly 54 bytes of metadata in my image. So let's go and take a look at this image and what we can do to play with. So I'm going to open it up in the viewer. And where are we? Color bitmap. There we go. And what I want to point out now is the fact that we need 3 bytes for each color. And if you remember from the very first video, it kind of works from the bottom to the top. So I'm going to look at these last few bytes to find out what the color is, and there'll be 3 of them. So one of the best ways I can do that at the moment is by using the snipping tool. There we go. Let's just cancel that for a second. I seem to put a window over the top. There we go. Let's get my snipping tool, click new, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run over the bottom few colours so that we can see these values change when I edit my picture. So I need to close this down, then I'm going to edit my picture, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a yellow brush, a different colour, and I'm only going to click on the very top one. That should be roughly at the bottom of the file. So if I now save my work, so I've only coloured one of the pixels and I've made it yellow. If I go and reload that file, there we go with the yellow pixel. we can now see that these values have changed, but we only know that when we start taking a look at this snip that we took. So let's take a look at these items here. That is 00 F2 FF 00. Okay, so these values have kind of changed. They're different in this one. So that is the colour for yellow. And I'm going to prove that now by going to a colour, Adobe's colour site, where you can create your own colours and play around with your own colours, and you can use them in hexadecimal. And it's called Cooler. So if I go to Adobe's Cooler, and choose to create colours, there we go, I get a nice colour wheel, but I can enter in the hexadecimal value, and that is an amount of red, an amount of green, an amount of blue to give me a colour. Well, let's take a look. Actually, the colour is, I need to move this across a little bit so you can see it. The colour is here, starts at F2 FF 00. So if I type those in here, so that one becomes F2, that one is then going to be FF, and finally that one is going to be 00. If I press enter, we should get the nice little yellow colour that we had in our image, which I seem to have lost somewhere around here in paint. So I've got that nice little yellow colour there. I'm giving it a 3-byte hexadecimal number, and the 3 bytes work out to be an amount of red, F2, an amount of red, full on green, FF, there we go, and absolutely no blue whatsoever, and that gives me this nice yellow colour here, which I used to colour my image, and I can see that repeated in the file. Also, we looked at how big the file was, because it's 24 bits, 8 by 8, which is 64, times 3 bytes gives me 192 bytes, and when I looked at the file, it was 246 bytes, because at the top I've got the BM for a bitmap, I've got how large the file is, the size of the file 8 by 8, and then some further metadata describing what this data down here does. And each one of these is a colour arranged in 3 bytes. So each one of these is a pixel, but we need 3 bytes for each pixel. So that's 1 pixel, 2 pixels, 3 pixels, and so on, 4 pixels. And if we change the colours, we can take the bytes, run it through Adobe Colour, and find out what the colour was. I don't suggest you editing files like this, apart from it being laborious and difficult to do. Might be a bit of fun to play with, but it's not a good way of changing your images. This is just to show you how the bytes and the binary and the colours and the hexadecimal and the sizes of the files all fit together. So the lesson should take you through that, and this is sort of the practical example.